no guidelines. There are no national guidelines on public participation. So whatever the debate has been happening, there is no framework to ensure that what happens or what is being said is taken into account, because that's the problem.
Okay, I see already, and they stuck to the time. It's about 15 minutes past 2 p.m. and I see the CS is being led out. A little bit, our pictures are a little bit shaky because of the building and the number of people who are inside the 16th floor. I think he sits on the 16th floor of the National Treasury building, and he's walking out right on time, 15 minutes past the top of the hour. That's still within time, and he'll be taking a couple of pictures. I don't think he'll have an address right now, but we'll keep those pictures. We'll get better ones. He's accompanied by Treasury officials, and of course the Cabinet Secretary is not strangers to this. He has been at the center of the monetary policy and now fiscal policy. I don't know if we have sounds from that, but he's not likely to speak right now. If he does, we'll hear him.
Yes.
So the customary thing is to wait.
Yes.
Until we have finished that, and then we can say what is that.
Yes.
We cannot prove the other the Kenyan fee.
What would you want to tell Kenyans just before you read the budget?
They wait for there are no surprises.
Yes.
Just rough calculations.
Yes.
To actually sustain the that is so important. Is what we need to say.
Maybe I think Kenyans are asking is about the loans.
Why not ask questions about the budget when you are going to read it?
All right.
Even your training is assessment.
Thank you very much, sir.
So Professor Njuguna making his way downstairs where he'll meet another team. Let's continue the discussion. He's right on time. This is the first time I'm seeing them actually keeping time.
It's almost like a military precision, you know.
He has insisted, Wambua, that this budget is the only way Kenya gets out of where we are currently. Do you believe, having read through it, gone through it, that this is one of the ways, if not the only way for them, that will get us, so to speak, out of the woods?
I don't think so, because in this budget, what we see is an increase in the budget itself. We're basically seeing a whole new 1 trillion shillings being looked for through taxation. So I don't think they're getting us out. They're getting us deeper into the woods, in my view. And maybe this is something we can discuss further.
So the kind of optimism that has been expressed, right, from the executive, right, to the members of parliament affiliated to Kenya Kwanza, speaking to people, because I know your organization is one of those organizations that are big in the citizens' voice. Did you hear the citizens' voice in this, or this is purely from the standpoint of the institution where you work?
I think where if there was any iota of capturing of citizen voices in this process, there would have been a responsive budgeting, there would have been responsive configuration of the finance bill, but that has not happened. I do not know. I have not heard any single person, citizen, who is not saying life is increasingly difficult, who is not saying it is difficult to afford even the things that we used to afford. I have not heard anybody who has had a salary increase for the last 3-4 years.
Okay.
So things are going down the drain. Everybody is saying, you know, the
all right
services.
All right. He's finally at the ground floor, just outside the main entrance of the Treasury buildings. This is customary. What usually happens is they will take a couple of pictures, beginning with a group picture, then drastically it will be reduced, and finally it will be Professor Njuguna Ndung'u only with the briefcase. At the end of the day, is the center of attention. But one of the things that we are not likely to see this time is probably the anxiety that Kenyans usually have whenever this budget statement is read at the National Assembly, a joint sitting of the National Assembly, because it's been debated. It's on second reading that passed yesterday, 176 to 81, going to Kenya Kwanza. And there are no surprises in this. Basically, he's opening the debate for this, right, Wambua? He's just going to Parliament to table it to open debate, right?
Going to table it and to open debate. More often than not, there will be very little, if any changes.
Okay, I'm told there's a little problem with your mic as we wait for that to be sorted. The Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, is ready for action. Cometh the hour, cometh the man, and he's not new to this. He was in charge of the monetary policy for such a long time. In fact, 2013, the outset of President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, he was the one at the Central Bank of Kenya dealing with the monetary policy, and now he's the guy with the fiscal policy right at Treasury. He's never done this before, but he begins President William Ruto's reign by reading the first budget that has been termed as very ambitious because it's 3.6 unprecedented, but it's the amount of money in there that needs to go to paying our loans. Almost half of our GDP goes to the payment of our loans. There's several proponents and opponents of our economy and how they think it's going to turn out to be, noting that we have a huge amount of money from the total finance bill that goes just to paying our debts, almost 1.7 trillion shillings. There's also the other problem of our collection in terms of revenue, how much we are collecting versus how much we are spending. In the last financial year, I think it was just over 2 trillion. And right now, it's under 2 trillion, and yet the budget is about 3.6 trillion, a deficit of 720 billion shillings. But the question is, looking at that versus the amount of money that has been placed for development, what happens? Do they forgo this and stop borrowing? The president said he'll not be borrowing. So if we, for this financial year, the government decides that we're not financing any development projects, let's deal with our recurrent, the high cost of living and all those inflation, all those factors that come within it. Let's deal with it and forget development for now. Then it means that we don't have to borrow further, because actually we can have that money, because 1.4 trillion shillings, actually 2.1 trillion shillings goes to finance government operations, about another 40 goes to, that's national government, then goes to parliament, and judiciary takes about 22. Those are the arms of the government in summary and how they have the allocations. So about 2.23 billion shillings goes to the judiciary, about 40 goes to the other arm, which is parliament, and about 2.1 trillion goes to the national government. There's a deficit of about 720 billion shillings. So that's how we stand as a country today, looking at the budget. I don't know if Wambo's mic is now okay. You can comment about. They didn't even need to use a vehicle. I mean, there's a time President Uhuru Kenyatta, as the treasurer, he walked to parliament. I mean, all days.
This is
Okay.